Checking the old internet airwaves. Quick refresh, trying to make sure we are in fact live. Taking another look at the other tabs on the other screens. I'm thinking, fingers crossed. All right, yeah, I see it. Cool. Hi, everybody. Hey, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. Look, first of all, I don't know if you caught it, but we were a little bit late, and that was my fault. That was totally on me. I was the one that's like, "Oh, we're doing it this time." Like, no, 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 no. I got it wrong. We're moving to do the other time, just 2 hours later. So I'm sorry if you were, I don't know, staying up late trying to chase whatever time zones to be able to hang out with us. So, but thank you for sticking with it for those that did, and I don't know if I don't know if it's obvious again, across the internet airwaves, but we've been a little bit busy. Like I've been busy. I have a black abyss in the void behind me because we're doing a heck of a lot of travel. And because of all that travel and other commitments, I know we are tuning in on a Tuesday. Normally we get to do these just hacking training live streams on a Friday. But forgive me. Sorry for that inconsistency. Hey, still hoping we can get some of the fun demos, some of the fun AMA, some of the fun hangout time whenever we can get it. But if you were wondering, yes, this is a just hacking training live stream. We try to do these every couple of weeks, every 2 weeks, every time we can fit it in. It's something to, hey, be able to tell you all the sweet stuff that we're up to over on the just hacking training arm and that end and all the venture and projects and fun that we get to do on that and still get to, hey, hang out with some of the courseware developers, the training instructors, the folks that are doing all the incredible stuff over here at JHT. So with that, I get to talk shop. I get to talk a lot about all the just hacking training things. So with that, let me dive in. What I'm going to do is try to share my screen, but I will be totally honest, as I am working in kind of just a, hey, haphazard makeshift, getting ready to travel structure and setup. I am working just off of one screen here. So forgive me, I am going to have to do a little bit of disc jockey work to make sure that you all can see my screen and I can see my screen. Normally, I'm one to harp on, oh, can you make it full screen? Can you make the text bigger? But now we'll do that, and I will have the title bar and tabs open and available. My fault. I'm sorry. My bad. But look, let me dive in. Hey, yes, this is being recorded. I know that's going to be the first question that a lot of folks might ask. Hey, when can we tune back into this if we can't catch it live? If you want to see any of the on-demand stuff. Well, look, the one-stop shop is justhacking.com, and we'll dive into a whole lot of the announcements coming up super duper soon. But if you ever wanted to see what we're up to, when we're going to be live, whether it's online or on demand or any events that are coming up in person, I'll tell you more about that soon. You should be able to navigate to just that vitals tab at the top of the website, and the events section here will take you to this page. So to the question, will this be recorded? Yes, absolutely, of course, without a doubt. Obviously, we're tuning in on LinkedIn, on Twitch, on X, on YouTube. I don't know where you are tuning in from, but I'm super excited because today we get to hang out with Bailey. Get to hang out with Bailey Marshall. She is our guest for some basic pen testing skills, a little bit of reconnaissance, some online analysis, and cool things. But let me keep doing the spiel. Let me keep telling you some of the cool announcements before we get Bailey to join the party here with us. Because we do have a lot going on. Look, the events are really where stuff is at because DEF CON is coming up. The big, ginormous hacking conference, the cybersecurity conference over in Vegas, off the tails of Black Hat, off the tails of B-Sides Las Vegas, Diana Initiative, always incredible people doing incredible things. And I love going to DEF CON. So we will be at DEF CON without a doubt. I will be there over at the Scam Bait Village. That's one that I got to submit and host. We'll be showcasing the Scam Bait Village contest there. So I'm super excited to give some love to that Scam Bait community. And just hacking training, that arm and hey, the training efforts will actually be helping support, sponsor, and kick off DEF CON alongside the IoT Village. Internet of Things, folks that we get to hang out with. We will, if I may say, have a special guest for that kickoff DEF CON extravaganza. I'm not going to name any names. I can't leak. I don't want to spill the secrets, but we are very excited. Hey, we get to be hanging out with even more cool people for that little fun show to kick off DEF CON. And we'll be there at IoT Village. We'll also be around and about for Red Team Village, helping support them, and the Noob Village. I'll have a talk with them. I think Josh Mason, I think all the other incredible folks that are leading the charge there. So super, super excited for DEF CON. We're going to be a show of force. We got a whole lot of our team and the crew coming to hang out, and tons of different places to be at. Tons of different folks to meet and hang out with. So please, please, please come say hi, come hang out with us, get a couple stickers. We might have some swag maybe for our cool, close friends, but we'll definitely be there and we want to see you and hang out with you. So I'll see you at DEF CON. With that, I'm checking my notes. What else do I have to cover there? Oh, the 2 mini workshops. These are pretty cool. If folks have seen us at previous events, when we've done to like B-Side San Francisco, or even I think RSA, we had a little bit of a presence to offer a mini workshop like MQTT. I think one of the protocols to work with a lot of the Internet of Things direction. We've ramped that up even more. So if you're having fun with that, we'd love to see you there. I hope you get to play. I hope you get to interact with it. Next up, let me keep chatting because it's a new month. Or at least I guess it's, a week into July, but it is a new month. And with that, we have a new release, new training, new content, new material available. And the course that we were coming out loud and proud with this month was phishing. And phishing is put together by Corey Macy. You might have seen her in a past live stream. She got to showcase some sweet stuff with us. And that got to dive into some more of that social engineering, red teaming work. In fact, literally the subtitle of the course is a technical course for red teaming, because we really wanted it to be hands-on. We didn't want it to be, just kind of talking about the security awareness, the fluff of phishing when you know what it is as a concept. But no, we really wanted you to be able to work with it. That is out and about now. I will note there have been a couple quibbles, and I hate trying to get some of the other video in the course. That should be hitting up this week. We have that on the way immediately ASAP as soon as possible. But the cool thing about the phishing course is that it has been name your price. So if you wanted to catch that for even as low as $10, that's what you get to do. You enter that, you type it in, you name your price. By default, the suggested price is $50, but if you are willing to show any love and support, I think that would be phenomenal. But if you can't go any higher, totally minimum price, $10 should be fun. Tons of sweet stuff here. OSINT enumeration, email discovery, breach data, figuring out your lore, your social engineering pretense, cloning different websites or portals or login pages, and then even getting some payloads and hooks, things that'll be able to trigger alongside a lot of the common and well-known phishing techniques, like OAuth device codes, or hey, sort of any other login that you might use when you're trying to log into another device, but it needs a specific code. Think like Amazon, Netflix, stuff that you'd use on your TV. Oftentimes really easily abused. And you're spinning up GoFish, you're working with some other evasion techniques, getting persistence. Super cool stuff. I hope some of you have been able to dive in to what is out thus far. Please, please do. But I know that's a price tag. And some folks get a little bit squeamish. Some folks start to whine. Some folks get a little bit taking out their pitchforks. So look, we do want to make sure we can give you free education, free training, more affordable, accessible material. And if you haven't seen a lot of the different offerings that Just Hacking Training puts out there, one of the big ones is upskill challenges. That's a name for our completely free, bite-sized training lessons, only 10 to 30 minute things. And they don't have a virtual machine or a lab environment that comes with it. That's the differentiator, because the cost here comes from using these cloud online lab VMs. So the free stuff, hey, we still want to get that word out and about, but we're shining a little bit of love to the upskill challenges because we have some great friends that have been doing some incredible things with it. Before I pivot to that with Bailey and some of the awesome upskill challenges she's been doing, I do still want to give your attention to one of the sweet deals that we've been going on, because it's a holiday, at least for us over in the United States, folks. I know, USA, 4th of July holiday, but of course it's for the whole world. We want to make sure this is accessible and available for everyone. We were doing a 20% off all courses with the code July 4th 20 off for the 4th of July weekend. but it's not just the weekend. We're doing the whole week. So if you wanted to grab any course that you'd like for 20% off, use that code July420 off up until Friday. That excludes bundles. I do want to draw your attention to that. So if you wanted to get, the Mashal bundle of everything OSINT and OPSEC related, or if you wanted anything more specific to some of that malware development, well, hey, all of those different paths are available there. And you'd have that with the bundle specifically. Because those are already discounted and pretty, capable to swag and grab that, we're making it for the courses. Anything you might like, July 4, 20% off. With that, I have one more fun Easter egg, because something that we've been really, really excited about is the Constructing Defense course. And with the opportunity now, to be able to bring out the 20% off discount code for the 4th of July week, not just the weekend, Constructing Defense is one of our flagship things because it's ginormous. We know that one has a little bit more of a steeper ask to it, but 20% off should hopefully make that a bit easy. And let me show you, if I may, kind of a cool little teaser that we've got going. We've got our sizzle reel, or the little video, the hype video, the promo and everything, to be able to showcase Constructing Defense. So if you're cool with it, what I'm going to do, can I play the video for you? Is that all right? You guys don't mind if I just let it run? All right, let me give you a sound warning and then I'll bring it in. I'm just excited about it. It's like the amp, hype up, cool, fun video. So let me roll the sizzle reel for Constructing Defense. Want to join the ranks of cybersecurity professionals? Whether or not you're a student, current professional, or someone looking to launch a new career, you can dive into Just Hacking Training Constructing Defense. Constructing Defense is the hands-on training for learning cybersecurity. At a fraction of the cost of other cyber ranges and more in-depth, you'll perform different cybersecurity attacks to see and understand what happens from a defensive perspective. Learn, attack, defend, and repeat. Constructing Defense is a 3-course path, including a full enterprise environment available in your own dedicated virtual lab with Windows, Linux, AWS, Azure, Kubernetes, Active Directory, a log server, Splunk, and so much more. With over 100 videos, step-by-step instructions, and Purple Team exercises, it is the most practical training to start a career in cybersecurity. And everything is provided for you. There are no prerequisites, and you don't need anything other than your computer and internet. Launch your cybersecurity career today with Just Hacking Training, Constructing Defense. Sign up now at justhacking.com. It's too cool. It's just too cool. You didn't get to see me, vibing along, having a ton of fun with it. But my goodness, it pumps me up. I don't know about you. I'm pretty happy and just glad to get it out and about. I hope you don't mind. Hope you don't mind me celebrating. Hope you don't mind me happy with all that we're up to here. So I hope you get a chance to grab it. 20% off there. Finally, let me get to the star of the show. Let me get to the real fun stuff that we're digging into today, because the Upskill Challenges has been a great effort, a good labor of love. And Bailey Marshall has been an incredible, awesome, and phenomenal team member to be able to help put together a couple of these. And I think there's more to come, but we'll get a chance to chat with her, see what she's thinking. And I did want to make sure to give you all a sweet intro. She's available online at thesecurityrex.com and always out and about on socials, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, all the stuff. You can see all the things that she's been able to do. Wanted to make sure we can give her some love, but she's put out some material with us for pen test reporting. And with that, hey, you get a little bit more of a better structure as to how you organize, how you mentally even compartmentalize you writing and working through that effort. And a little bit more tactical here for us to get hands on keyboard, some Google dorking, using search engines, using Google to be able to find and pillage and track down what could be maybe sensitive data or info that probably doesn't need to be out on the internet, or anything that can arm you or help you and maybe track down some secrets that aid you in a penetration test. But we get to dive into just a little bit more because she's going to be showing us the ropes for some sweet stuff. I think with some Shodan, I think with some scans. So I'm pretty excited. We get to see what Bailey has in store for us. With that, let me pull down my screen share. I know I've been rambling for like 16 minutes now, so I'm done. But let me ask the question, Bailey. How you doing? Are you ready for it? Can you join the party? Sweet. I see the thumbs up from the backstage. I can bring you on in here. Bailey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be
Hey,
here.
thank you so much for doing this thing. I feel like I dropped the ball between, oh, dang, we're actually a couple hours later, or like, oh, hey, when can we squeeze this in? So thank you, seriously, for being here. Thank you for all your incredible work and everything that you're up to. Can you tell me a little bit more? Hey, for folks that might not know, who are you? What are you up to? What's on in your world these days?
Yeah. So thank you for the quick intro. I am on all of my socials as the security Rex. That's kind of the persona that I have adopted. It was when I was looking for a job a few years ago, and I was like, hey, I'm going to put out what I'm interested in, and I'm going to do it in a way that is informational, maybe showcases a little bit of my skills. Because it's really hard to be able to find, a job, and so thus became the security Rex. So lately, really, what I've been doing is working towards educating people on things that not only am I interested in, but I feel like there's kind of a gap between, the really advanced cybersecurity stuff and people that are trying to get in. And there's a lot of content out there. But when I was starting out, I was like, hey, I don't really want to hack this box that makes me do all of these tools. I just really want to learn like that tool. If it's SQL map, I want to practice that one. And so, when I started off with just hacking training, I was like, that seems like a good place for me to begin and share it not only in a way that's accessible, but free to, build up people in their skills that they might have that are really niche. And so I started out with the, pen test report writing, because let's be honest, like pen test report writing is so boring. I don't care if you're red team, I don't care if you're blue team. Report writing is the most dull and drab thing possible, but it's my favorite. And that might sound crazy. The reason why it's my favorite is because I'm the type of person that likes to see something tangible from my work. I want to see a product that I can give to someone and say, hey, I slaved over that 150-page report, but look at all I did. And it wasn't just for naught. And so I started out with that. And then I ended up moving into, kind of some of the more tooling. And this first upskill challenge, you might think, oh, well, who cares about recon? We're pen testers, we're red teamers. Recon is so boring. We want to get into, the binary exploitation. We want to do all of the super fun stuff. And that stuff is super cool, but you have to know how to get there first. And so that's why I wanted to kind of take this iterative approach to getting to be a seasoned tester. You have to start at the basics. So I've got some other things that are coming up, and I want to talk about those in a bit. But I wanted to really highlight with this live Google Dorking, and it's the most recent upskill challenge that I've gotten to share. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen and kind of give a walkthrough of some of the really cool things that you can find. And I will be honest, I practiced some of these before just to make sure things actually came up and, it wasn't anything too crazy. And some of the stuff that you can find online, I was even shocked. It was a little weird to me. And so we'll get into a couple other things too later on, but it's never the same job every single day. You find something different every single day. And it's kind of like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that I could do that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up our favorite thing, Google. And to be honest, you can do these Google Dorks just about anywhere. So it's not just Google, it's Twitter, it's SharePoint. I found admin login credentials on SharePoints before. Like, that's crazy. And so, all that to be said, you can find admin logins just by typing a simple in URL, which basically what we're doing is looking for anything within the URL that says admin or admin login. You can kind of see that there are some other suggestions here already. So I'm going to type in admin login. So obviously we've got Google admin. That's the first thing that's going to pop up because it's Google. But you've got some other admin login portals as well. And why this is interesting is because these are outward facing web applications that are available for people to test on. And so if you've got something like a dev environment that you don't necessarily want to be forward facing, you might want to take that down. So if you look at some of the admin login information, you can see, hey, I've got a username and I've got a password. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go try to do this right now. Again, reconnaissance is really just for looking around. Don't play with it. Just look around to see what is available and what you can actually do to an application that is there. But don't mess with it, especially if you don't have the authority. Everything that we're doing right now is just looking, not touching. So you can find these admin login pages, some other things. Let's go down a little bit. You've got some questions and things like that, but you can see a lot of these have to do with admin. And then we start getting into some, questions about, hey, I've lost my admin login credentials. I've lost my details. You can even narrow it down with something with site, and then you can actually look for the site that you're interested in. For example, if you're pen testing a big security firm or a big, firm that has a large presence online, you can look specifically within their domain or their subdomains with the site. So that one's really interesting. And I'm always looking for admin, password, username, lists of things. And so the next thing that I want to look for is file type. And I've got all my notes written out because let's be honest, we can't remember everything all the time. So just give yourself some grace that if you have to write down a list of things, it's perfectly okay. So I'm going to look up a PDF. I'm going to look up any site that has a .edu at the end. And then I'm going to look for anything that says it's confidential. Confidential. Got to spell it right. So now I'm finding some PDFs that I could pull up that have confidential information, or at least the word confidential, but you can start finding information about, what might be potentially sensitive in some of these things. And so I'm looking for anything that might reveal something that is important to me during my test to give me a little bit more context. And again, I would probably narrow it down with this site query, but you do what you do and try to figure out where things lie in the internet, and this can help unveil some of the deep web information. We're not going dark web. When we're talking about dark web, we're using a completely different browser. There's a whole other process to that. This information is typically just scouring the top layer of information that you can find on search queries, as well as getting into a little bit more deep than you would typically unearth in your everyday search. So now I can find this PDF. It's not super interesting, but you never know. This could be a scan of something that was important and maybe had some, who knows, this could have been someone's Post-it note that they screen shared and put it on so that they could archive their passwords. And so there's that. And so something else that I might look for is log files. So I'm going to look for in title, index of log.txt. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for anything that is in the title. So the title being this first title right here, this name, basically the name of the website. So I'm looking for log files. We've got some information right here. Who knows what this information holds? And I'm not going to get too in deep because, again, this is really just a general overview, but you never know what information that you can actually find in this. And so I see one of the questions is, but can I report this when finding this online? Yeah, definitely. Now, sometimes the companies, are not particularly interested in, what you can find online, and that'll be kind of determined in your scoping document. But if you're doing recon, they definitely want to know if their private information is out there. You wouldn't necessarily categorize this as a CVE or anything like that. When we start getting into Shodan, there are things that do have CVEs related to them because of the fact that they are actually products that are affected, like webcams that are open. But the bottom line is, yeah, you absolutely can use this information to report. And they're going to want to know. Like I said, I found password lists and SharePoint files. They definitely needed to know about that because they needed to button that up real quick. And so, yeah, you can definitely talk to, your findings, and even if you're not reporting it in your pen test, it's a good thing and it's good practice to let your, client know that, hey, we found this online. Kind of builds that relationship as well. So next, I'm going to look for exposed webcams.
May I sprinkle in a couple things while you are getting that one up and ready? No, I
Please
mean, I
do.
am super happy because I know I appreciate you mentioned, hey, look, we're looking at weird stuff on the internet and we don't quite know what we're going to find. And I'm glad you had a little time to at least discuss, deep web or dark web kind of thing. It's no secret. Hey, we've got a dark web course up on Just Hacking Training, and we do have what we're calling like a dark web 2 in the works. Like that's in development. And I really I want to make sure we can have a lot of the onion URLs, a lot of the strange sites, a little bit more, go explore, go see what weirdness is out there. But it's wild because we're finding that balancing act and like trying to write and add the caveat even in text, like in the material, in the content of like, look, internet's weird. You could stumble across weird, off-putting stuff that you should have that skepticism with. Take it with a grain of salt. Maybe you run into like whatever NSFW craziness. Look, you kind of have to have a certain fortitude and stomach it when you do that weird, just seeing what's out there, out online, on the open internet, whether it's passwords that you track down with like Google Dorking stuff like this, or notes or documents or stuff that's out there. I always want to add that sprinkle in disclaimer. Look, there's no idea what we run into.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a comment or question in the chat that says, why would passwords be on Google though? And the reality is that this is a good way to search through, say, Amazon S3 buckets. I'm currently taking a red teaming course for the cloud, and it's incredible the amount of information that people put in their public repositories, and they don't even realize it's as public as they actually are. So yes, it is alarming, and it would be very, very strange for you to put your passwords out on the internet, but people do it all the time, as silly as that sounds. And I'm talking major companies. This isn't just small businesses. So I was looking for, webcams. And so I looked, in URL, I want to look for the specific view and, file extension, and I could come across live webcams. Now, this isn't going to necessarily always be a big thing, but when I think about webcams, I think about baby monitors. I think about, things that are kind of creepy that you wouldn't want to have people have access to. When I had a baby monitor for my kids, I used Bluetooth because you had to be in a closer proximity to be able to really get into that if you really, really wanted to. This clearly here is not anything super crazy. We're looking at a shipyard or a dock and people are getting on boats. So, who cares? But you might have some webcams that have some sensitive information. Like maybe you're looking for something that is monitoring an ICS or SCADA system, and you're making sure that you're protecting the physical perimeter. You never know if that stuff is actually going to be exposed to the internet unless you look for it.
But to be clear, like that's live. Like that's a live camera feed, right? So these poor folks, walking around getting their boat ready to jump off to the water here. That's still always crazy to me. It gives me the heebie-jeebies because if it's open to the internet, you don't know what anyone's going to be doing. I know they're just, walking around doing their thing, but that's just wild.
Yeah, definitely. And when you talk about an OSINT perspective, we always say, hey, don't share where you're going. Don't share you're on vacation and doing these things. But people can be tracked this way very easily. I saw a comment earlier that asked if you could use Dorks on Yandex. And yes, you absolutely can. And Yandex can go and help scan through and PIMIze. There are other OSINT courses that are really great to check out on Just Hacking Training. But you can use, AI features to search for faces. And so it could be very easy to have, a screen capture of some things like this and find out where you are. Now, it really just depends on whether or not, someone is very, very interested in finding you. But I mean, if you're high profile, definitely something to consider.
There's a boat coming in. You're on the show. You're part of the live stream now.
They would have never known. Okay, so the next thing I would be concerned about is looking for open directories with images, files, and I'm going to scope it down to .us. just you could do it .gov, things that are specifically interesting. I don't want to search the whole internet for everything. That's what Google Dorking is really good for. Because you don't need to scour the whole internet for everything. You really need to be able to narrow down exactly what you're looking for. And I'm going to look for JPGs, JPEGs, PNGs, not pings, PNGs. Again, got to spell it right.
So the syntax here is kind of like a little bit of regular expressions, sort of, right? Like obviously the in title colon query or the site colon query, but when you have the parentheses and like the vertical bar for JPEG or PNG, that's feels very regex like, right?
Very much so. Yep. And it's all, when you think about it, all of this, all of the languages, and whether you're talking about like a programming language or a database language, the logic is there. The commands may be different, the syntax may be different, but you're thinking in a way that's really actually more human readable and human digestible than you think. So for these, I've obviously found a lot of images because I was looking for images. And so they're going to come up on my image search. But, this WordPress, I don't necessarily have access to look at those, which is fine. But I've got a whole index of images here. And you never know what these images are. They could be images of people. They could be images of just, icons and information that you can find about the website, what the website's actually using. But some of the stuff can actually be sensitive. And you never know. Everybody likes to have in their CTFs, the funny image that has, a meme or a silly quote or something, and you have to go find the image. Another thing is you can utilize these file directories to see if there's an upload feature. And then there's a lot of other stuff that you can do with that. If it's got a file directory, it might be potentially externally exposed. And then you may be able to do, some local file inclusion and things like that. So that's a little bit concerning as well. You just have to take all of the information that you're learning from reconnaissance and put it towards everything else that you're doing. So the recon piece might not necessarily be your favorite thing, but it leads basically every next step that you're doing in your pen test, your red team, whatever. I do have a cheat sheet that I'm going to share. It's one of my favorites. Let me finish up this and I will make sure that we share the link to you guys. I'd like to, get that resource out to you because it's my favorite. And so we'll definitely get you a link for that. So
I would I'm sorry. I don't want to keep interrupting. I don't mean to intrude, but it's so fun. I really love the open directories, or like when you get to see the index of and listing of files. Because maybe pulling this in another direction, but the one that I like to run around in is, look, it's malware analysis. Sometimes it's threat hunting. It's finding just some of those strange things that are out on the internet. Maybe that's part of an attack chain, part of a payload. Just grab something from what would be a directory listing. And I know we almost on reflex, like going through a pen test, red team, hack the box, whatever CTF thing, when you spin up like a Python-M HTTP server to beam out a couple of your files, it's so crazy. Like I feel like you hear horror stories when actual pen testers and actual offensive security consultants forget or like, oh, they run that small HTTP server in part of their home directory where they're including accidentally and exposing their open team server configurations, a lot of the other payloads, a lot of other things. There were wild stories even way back in like the proxy not shell days, or proxy shell, when there was a lot of big Microsoft Exchange exploitation. You see like what would have been a 0 day from some threat actor that just left it open and dangling in a directory just like that index of listing that you can track down. And don't sleep on those. Don't sleep on all those index of open directories. Even when you're doing some pen testing work, make sure you spin up those servers in a safe, clean directory.
yeah, definitely. And these are really quick that if you just put it on a cheat sheet of your favorite things, you can go through and pop these in really briefly, narrow it down to the site that you're interested in, because again, you're going to have a scope within your pen test and you're not going to be searching the whole internet. So definitely use that site colon and then whatever the domain that is within your scope. And if there's nothing there, it's a quick, 30-second look. got it. It's not there. Moving on. So this can be a very simple and easy part of your pen test. So the last thing that I did was in title index of, and I'm looking for any misconfigured, environment pages. So again, you're probably going to have a lot of these when you're doing these Google Docs. You'll have some of these that it's like, hey, it's part of exploit DB, or hey, I've pulled up a GitHub link that has a bunch of other Google Docs that you can use. So just know that and just glaze over them. But then you've got some other things that might be interesting, and then you might go and look to see if they've got misconfigured environment files. And so this one does have some environment files, and it's got a public IP address, and I don't know what these are, but they definitely look kind of fishy to me. So it's something that you could go and check for to see if there are any, not only environment files, but also any exposed dev URLs and dev domains, because those you definitely don't want publicly available as well. And I have come across those where, hey, your staging environment is exposed to the public. And so the last one I'll cover with the Google Docs that I have is just the we could go over like searching for misconfigured government pages, .us pages, name your country domain. But at the end of the day, this is all comprised in a GitHub list, and there are tons that you can go search for. You can look for, hey, I want just Google Dorking, a list of everything that I can do. And again, use these with caution because you're just looking. You're not necessarily trying to interact. And so the last one I'll cover for Google Dorking is I'm going to go to in title index of, maybe with some quotes
Before
there.
you pivot, there was one cool question that came through. It said, hey, how come you used .env instead of file type :env? Was there some syntactic sugar there, or I'm not sure?
No, not necessarily. It can be either way, and that's kind of the nice flexibility about Google Dorking is you can look for the file type and have it be PDF or have it be this, or you can look for something that has the dot and then the suffix, I guess, prefix, the suffix. So you can have that file type that's at the end with a dot, or you can have it just the file type. One thing I will say is the limiting factor with looking at file type itself, like file type :PDF. Sometimes you have things that are masqueraded. So it's a PDF, but it's also a .zip, or it's a PDF and it's also a .whatever. A lot of times I see these in obfuscations when people are trying to drop malware on people's systems. And so looking at, a dot something might be a little bit better because you're looking for the end result rather than the system being confused because it's a .png, .pdf, .env. And then you're not going to be able to pull up that much information on it because the dork is dorked up, I guess. It's a little confused. And so that is my consideration, but that's like the nice thing is that you can use these in different ways. So I'm going to look for any backup files. Again, I'm going to look for SQL files, .zips, .tar. Let's see. Anything that says backup. So this is sponsored. That's good to know. But you can see there are backup files that are available as well. And you can go see these, and why it's interesting to find backup files is it's possible that the backup file is the current configuration of the system that you're looking at. And it's a way to kind of backtrack and almost reverse engineer people's environments. You can go and find backup files and things like that on systems that are, maybe not changed very much, or maybe have misconfigurations in them, but they haven't been fixed. And you might be able to utilize that to your advantage. And so that would be why I would look at backup files, just because, I mean, you can use things like web applications, you can use things like WFuzz and other fuzzing techniques to find some of these things. But at the end of the day, a quick Google Dork is also easy as well. So yeah, just to go back to the question for file type, yeah, again, it might be because the file might be masquerading as something else. So again, you've got a lot of fidelity with Google Docs, and that's what I like about it. It's the fact that you can use it in such a different way, and everybody's going to use it differently. I'm going to look for things differently the way that other people are going to look for it. But at the end of the day, we're finding information that is not easily uncoverable from just the top up. So I know we talked a little bit about, some resources. My favorite resource is this GitHub link, and we'll go ahead and share it in the chat. But this has got a ton of dorks, and it's not just Google dorks. We've got Amazon dorks, we've got gaming dorks, we've got a ton of stuff here. And again, you can use similar. They're not always the same syntax, which is why I like, sheets like this. But this GitHub resource is my favorite to go through and look for any dorks that I can find with any system that I might be interested in. So definitely give this one a check out. Put it in your bookmarks. It's my favorite. And so I would highly recommend, even just looking for your own, GitHub resource that you like more. Maybe this is too much for you and you want something a little bit more, spread out, and it's not a bunch of, a huge text file. Definitely go and check those out. So that's my favorite one. And I'm really excited about all of this recon stuff because, again, this is just really the step into, some of the stuff that you can do to basically inform your engagement, inform your pen test, inform your security research. This is very applicable to bug bounty as well, especially because bug bounty is very much, predominantly it's pretty black box. You're finding what you can find because they want you to search for that stuff. And so I really like this. And I really like the fact that Recon does inform and lead you into your engagements, which is why I'm super excited that my next upskill challenge is going to be Shodan, because there's some stuff on there that is super creepy. And I've got a few things that I'd like to show you now, just to kind of teaser what you guys can expect for this next upskill challenge. So I'll go ahead and pull that up.
Thank you so much, Bailey. I'm super excited. There was one quick question. I don't know before we pivot if you're willing to dance with. Someone asked,
please.
and a super good question, what if the public facing services, like the stuff that you find over on Google Dorking and stuff that you're searching for, what if that's like a honeypot? What if that's just a facade? What if that's something, they put there on purpose for you to fall down the rabbit hole? What do you think?
That's an amazing question. I love that. And at the end of the day, you can't report too much information. So there's that. Within the scope of your pen test and your red team engagement, you can oftentimes ask those questions. I've gotten to points where I'm like, hey, is this supposed to be this way? This production environment looks weird. This is reacting funny to me. I'm not seeing the same things as, is this behavior appropriate for what you're expecting? A lot of times that, you ask those questions and your scoping team, your engagement manager can answer those for you. So yeah, if you're on an engagement where you are white box, or at least you have an internal connection to the resources that run those systems, you can always ask those questions and say, hey, I'm not going to spend my time, focusing on this honeypot. With bug bounty and security research, you kind of just have to err on the side of caution to not spend too much time digging down the rabbit hole. That's a very good question. And honestly, it's about risk versus reward. Are you going to spend all of your time looking down this information trail, or are you going to look for things that are more easy access points? I think that's the nice thing about pen testing versus red teaming, is the fact that pen testing, you're touching the very surface. You're not going too deep unless you have time within your scope. But that red team, you find that one point of entry and you're going as deep as you can. And that's where you have to be really cautious to not fall down that rabbit trail. So for Shodan anyway, you have to have an account. I'm pretty sure I'm logged in. Hopefully I did. Because Shodan is not free for a lot of things. There are a lot of things that are obfuscated if you don't have an account. And so Shodan is really cool because you can find, I love doing Internet of Things, hacking or research and stuff like that. And so Shodan is really cool because you can find things that are really creepy. And again, I kind of go back to that webcam baby monitor sort of thing. And you'll see that some of these search queries are very similarly contextualized like a Google Dorking. So I'm going to look up has screenshot Yep, I want something with a screenshot. I also want it out of a common webcam port. And now got some screenshots, some trees with some power lines. I've got a couple of screenshots over here. Let's find one that's interesting. Looks like this person in Taiwan is very interested in making sure that their car and their garage space is secure. And so it's one of those things where if you and I have a webcam at my house as well. And so, or I guess a security camera, a webcam too. I'm obviously on camera now, but I have a security camera at my home. And so some of these things can be found online. And it's so creepy because some of the stuff that you can scroll on here, what I'm seeing now on this search is different than what I searched for 2, 3 hours ago when I was preparing my notes for this live. It populates so frequently, and this isn't, maybe this is just a screenshot, but it's a screenshot of a point in time. And you can go find information about when this was last seen. You can find its open ports. And a lot of times you can take this and you would have to put into, a VLC or something like that, which I won't dive into today. But you can find this webcam being hosted somewhere publicly. A lot of times it's just that easy. I mean, there are a lot of Reddit articles that tell you exactly how to do that. So it's really creepy. And this is kind of the point where I get a little like weirded out because it can find exactly where it's located based on its IP. There's a lot of geo tracking. And yes, people can use VPNs and things like that. But even if I was using a VPN and I was located in Canada or some other country, I still wouldn't want people to see my face on these screenshots. Kind of goes back to the whole OSINT thing. Um, some other things that you can find are, let's do some ICS and SCADA.
There was a question that flew by for seeing the command line again. I don't know if that meant just the search query you had previously, if you remember off the top of your head.
Yeah, I'll just go back really
Cool.
quickly. That should rectify. So has screenshot true. I'm looking for port 554. So this is a common webcam port that or security cam, whatever you want to call it. It's for RSTP, so real-time streaming protocol. So a lot of times these cameras will post this through that port, and if you're thinking about finding it in an app, it's going to have some sort of internet access there. So that's why you can find this information.
Cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract.
No, I'm working on one screen too, like shame on me. So I'm going back and forth between, so that's perfect. Thanks for calling me out. Um, so looking for, Modbus. Modbus is a common ICS protocol. You do not interact with these things. If you are talking anything that you are finding on Shodan, do not interact with it. But you can find this information. Hey, there are these systems. These are these devices that are hiding on the internet in plain sight. And hey, these locations that you're finding them at. So ICS and SCADA is one of those things that's getting really, really touchy and important to make sure that we're securing because there's a lot going on that affects these things, and they're connected to a lot of things that connect us. And so it's one of those things that you need to button some of this stuff up because you don't want to necessarily, even if it's not necessarily accessible, you shouldn't be touching it. The fact that you can see that it's available just makes the target range more accessible to someone that doesn't necessarily care if it's illegal or not to go through and do that. So looking for some of those ICS and SCADA things. We could look for other things too, like elastic searches. We could look for printers. I know my favorite YouTuber PewDiePie got his printer hacked like on live stream a couple years ago. It was hilarious. And it's just, you can hack a printer, even though as silly as that sounds, just pushing out printer paper and saying, obscure things is enough to creep people out. And so you could find printers and things like that, and Apache, elastic searches. But I want to go look for, anything that's an Apache server that is on, being hosted on port 80. That's just our typical HTTP port. Hopefully my internet lets me go through. Cool. So we've got some information about some public facing IP addresses that are hosting Apache. Now I can actually go through on Shodan and I could click right here on the IP address itself, but some of these will actually let me open up and see if I can look at the service. Now, I know I'm not showing this right now because I wanted to see if I could find one that would pop up for me, because not all of them do. But oftentimes you'll see, hey, here's a welcome page, and you'll be able to see something that is let's see if we can do, yeah. So it's just a test page, and you might have sensitive information on here, or it might just be a simple Apache server. So this is actually showing that people are utilizing, something that might be vulnerable. Apache Tomcat was always my favorite web server to kind of mess around with ethically, of course. But anytime I've ever seen someone have an Apache Tomcat server, I'm like, yes, easy win, easy win. And so you can find, Apache servers and other HTTP servers that are publicly facing. Obviously, if they're on port 80, not super secure. Wanting to hide those and obfuscate them a little bit, so there you need to be able to access them online, but not necessarily show. We can see when the down here, we can see the version number. And so we can use that to target the system to see, hey, what vulnerabilities are for this. So, you can find stuff like that. I think the last few things I'm going to go into RDP, because I know we're finishing up on time, and so that one's a little creepy because of the fact that it actually will show you screenshots of what their RDP login looks like. Screenshots. So, and if you guys don't remember, port 3389 is our RDP port. So this gives me some SSL certificate information. Also gives me the login administrator. That's a little creepy. And if the fact that this was actually something that would be concerning, like maybe this was a government's, owned system, we might not want to have RDP access to the administrator straight out to the, the open internet. We've got some information here. You can see, hey, this is from Korea. It's got Korean information. And oftentimes threat actors will utilize this to target certain locations and certain, players within these countries. And so this information can be utilized definitely to your disadvantage. And so taking down as many RDP servers as you can, if they're not in use, you don't need them. You definitely need to let them be closed off, shut them down, lock them out to the public internet. There are not a lot of reasons why RDP needs to be available to the public internet. And oftentimes just blocking it behind a VPN can just add a layer of security. It's not a foolproof plan, but it is something that can help. So I gave something. There's one more question. How would I conduct research on myself and see what's exposed? I love that question because I am like an OSINT nerd. And so all I've done is go Google yourself, go look for yourself on Facebook, on Instagram, go reverse search your images on some of the OSINT resources that, Just Hacking Training has online. I've done that to myself. And also you can find your information on white pages. And then what you do with that information is you request to take it down. And there are a lot of services that will ask to, purchase and say, hey, I'll take all of this stuff down for you. And that's a way to do it. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of the stuff that you can take down yourself. Hey, request removal. Hey, I'd like to unsubscribe to this call list, things like that. So definitely go take a moment to go look through, Google Dorks, Shodan, go look for your IP addresses. You can easily search what your public IP address is on your systems by, what's my IP.com and things like that. You can go find what your public IP address is for your devices and go make sure that they're not publicly exposed on Shodan, for example. So one of the last things that I wanted to cover is, a Shodan cheat sheet. This is one of my favorites. I have all of these cheat sheets, and it's got common ports. It's got information about cameras, which is kind of like the thing that people love to go and nerd out on, Shodan for, because it's really creepy to see people's cameras online. But it's got information about, CVEs and things that are vulnerable, devices that are vulnerable. Again, IoT devices. I actually have a smart grill. Yes, a smart grill that is hosting a web server on it. The reason being is because it is has an app to it. So it has to have some sort of connectivity, but I've logged into it on my computer. How weird is that? So I kind of poked around to see what I could find on there, but it's really weird. Your smart devices have all of these strange things that have these you know web servers on them. Why do they need web servers? And I think that there's a question about it being cheat sheets misspelled. Yeah, it is a misspelling for GitHub. So let the record show it is spelled cheat with two E's. Um, but I'm super excited to be able to share some of this stuff with you because at the end of the day, this stuff again informs all of your decision making for your engagements. So I'm really excited that Just Hacking Training has given me a platform to do this and then come share it with you. And I think this is all kind of building up to some really cool stuff that we've got going on in the future. We're going to start rolling out some more UCs like this and get ready to do some hackalongs and maybe do a 30-minute pen test and show you exactly what you need to do. I love web app pen testing and API pen testing. So that might be something you get to see in the future. I don't know. You tell me.
Oh, Bailey, this is awesome. You're awesome. This is too cool.
Hit the nail on
No,
the
yeah,
head.
home run, grand slam. I'm so glad you harped on RDP because I feel like that still haunts us. It's like, oh man, way too many computers that don't need RDP open to the internet. I was on mute, but you might have been able to see me laughing hysterically at the Windows Server 2003 that we saw. But oh man, hey, so much cool stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you again and again, Bailey. Do you think that's it for screen share for you? Should I bring us back to just the two of us here? Cool.
Please do.
Well, this has been awesome. I know, hey, we're getting close to the top of the hour, but look, thank you again for hanging out with us. And especially thanks for everyone tuning in to hang out with us. Any last thoughts, any parting thoughts, hey, I don't know, call to action for everything that you're up to with Security Rex? Anything else going on? Oh, the new horizon for Shodan Upskill Challenge and more to come. What else is the future looking like?
Yeah, I am so thoroughly enjoying sharing the basics of things because at the end of the day, we all have to start somewhere. And there's a huge gap between those that are trying to get into the field and those that are already in the field. From the security rec side, I think I'm just going to keep doing this. It's something that I feel a passion for. It's something I feel called to do. And there are a lot of other really cool things in the work right now that I can't wait to share with everybody. But until now, just like you, keeping it on the down low.
Will you be at DEF CON?
Uh, I had planned on it, but I'm actually got some other plans that are coming up right around that time. So I needed to make sure that I was available for those. But I will definitely be at DEF CON sometime in the near
Cool.
future. I got to go to Black Hat last year, and so that's the next one.
Excellent. Next year, then. Well, hey, thank
Yep.
you again and again, everyone. Last couple shout outs from me, if I may. Look, remember, this all happens at justhacking.com. Big sale, big opportunity to get things for a little bit more approachable price. I know I was giving some love to ConDef or Constructing Defense. That is also available at the light rendition without a virtual lab or environment, so you can spin it up on your own, but that might be a little bit more approachable for you. And with that, hey, snag a bundle. Hey, jump into some of the hack-along training, jump into some of the upskill challenges, maybe dig into the Capture the Flag archives. I'm really hoping that this is shaping up to be an awesome thing for you all. I think we've been doing this for maybe 6 months, maybe 7 months now. And we have, what is it? 60, just over 60 different offerings across all these different kind of opportunities. So thank you for being a part of it, Bailey. I love your energy, your enthusiasm, and everything you've been able to bring to the table. So I can't say it enough. I know I sound like a broken record, but thank you, thank you, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
All
it.
right, I'll tune us out. Thank you all, everyone. Until the